Welcome back. You're watching the Mutual Fund Show, and my next guest is a face that you will definitely recognize if you have been watching the mutual fund space over the last several years. Sunil Subramaniam, former managing director now of Sundaram Mutual Fund, is joining me. Sunil, you must have watched the World Cup final over the course of the weekend, and you had a few stalwarts of the game announce their retirement. Did you time your retirement to coincide with theirs?
I think it's the reverse. I think they timed it to coincide because mine was in the public domain quite long ago.
Okay, but you know, it presents me with a great opportunity to ask you what you've seen over the course of your career, which has been probably, I would think that a lot of people would be envious of the kind of journey that you've had. Where do you leave the mutual fund industry, and how do you compare it with where you started?
So I think that one of the key elements here is that the financial inclusion part, that is the appreciation of equities as the inflation beating asset class. I think when I joined in the 2005-6 period was just beginning. Today you have a far wider penetration. I agree that the number at about 5 crore mutual fund investors doesn't look very large when you look at 144 crore population. But I think that the awareness of the industry has sharply improved. The SIP book is a clear evidence of that. I think people are recognizing that this is the asset class which you can plan for your retirement in the absence of social security benefits. And I think that even in the last decade and a half, mutual funds as a proportion of bank deposits have doubled from 13% to 27%. So it indicates that that element of seeking only safety as a safety net for yourself to taking on some bit of risk with the equity markets is a big change in the investors' behavior. And that's something I think we need to capture on and take it forward strongly. I think that's one good thing. The second thing which has happened over the same period is India's relative importance in the world markets. If you see as a share of the emerging market index, they're phenomenal. We've got 3 times the share over the last few years. So I think India's growth in the world stage, I think the equity markets have captured it very well. And so that adds to the domestic feeling of pride. So I think that the equities are finally coming of age. Whereas when I started, equities was looked at more like a gambling asset class only for the rich and the idle rich to play around with their money. Whereas today it is a very middle class, actionable item to plan for the future. So Sunil, that's where the industry is.
So Sunil, the point is that Mutual Fund Sahi Hai, the campaign that you also participated in, has worked. But what's next for the mutual fund industry?
I think what's next is, first of all, to promote the safety liquidity element of the mutual fund industry. I think all the growth has come from equities, part of it through market action, part of it through SIPs and equities. But I think not enough has been done in promoting the liquid schemes, the debt schemes, the taxation which was earlier supportive, taking it away has meant that that's slowed down a bit. But I think ultimately the disintermediation, which is what mutual funds are meant to do, which is you lend money to a bank through a fixed deposit, they lend it to a corporate customer, right? The bank taking his share of the pie. The mutual industry disintermediates and takes away that. So it's a huge opportunity for the retail Indian customer to use the mutual funds as a wonderful liquidity cum safety tool. I think there we have a long way to go. And that's why the penetration, I mentioned 5 crores versus 144 crores. I think the next journey of the mutual fund industry is to make it palatable to the India's middle class public as an ideal venue to park your money and not only use it as a vehicle to generate huge returns. I think the industry has a big role to play in becoming the first choice of investment for the Indian middle class. And I think I would like to see the next decade, the mutual fund industry actually penetrate across hybrid products like multi-asset funds, balance advantage funds, yes, liquid funds, ultra short term. I think that's the next path of growth.
And Sunil, thank you so much for joining us. And just ahead of the start of your next innings, and look forward to speaking to you again not too long from now.
Sure. Thanks a lot, and all the best to your viewers.
Wish you the very same. And that brings us to the end of this particular edition of the Mutual Fund Show. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing it to you. Do stay tuned. Lots more coming up over the course of the day. And this is NDTV Profit.